Hi, and welcome to another episode of Boston SciFi Presents. This is season 2, episode 10, and it's all about the film festival. My name is Garen Daly. I am the festival director for Boston SciFi, and joining us are Alex Mekos and Perry Persoff, two people who are integral members of the team on Boston SciFi. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what is going on at the festival and how we go about it. So, this hopefully will be a kind of a look behind the scenes episode. So, Alex, why don't you tell folks what you do for Boston SciFi?
Well,
Go ahead. You can say it.
okay. Are you sure? I am the head of video production, so I have been spearheading a lot of the coordination of what videos are going to be recorded at the festival, what we're filming there. I'm also big in producing all the trailers and some of the marketing materials that are leading up to the festival.
You know what? I should say at the outset that bit of film and video that we saw at the beginning was not Alex's. That was Dan LeBlanc's, and Dan created that on his own volition to highlight some of the features and films that we are showing at the festival today. And then we've also got joining us is Perry Persoff. And Perry, why don't you tell folks what you do?
Well, often I get excited when I'm in my first chapter of a Boston Science Fiction Film Festival, such as the podcast, my first one. Woo! But I am
Don't blow it. Don't blow it.
the confidence builder. I am, for my second year in a row, I get to be the MC of the marathon. I've been coming to the marathon since 2014. And a tradition we started in 2016 is the group sing-along before we start the films. So I've always had a great time with the group song. And I was partnered the first 3 years, and after that, it's gone solo and less scary every time, for the most part. And this year, I've also been bestowed with the honor of hosting our game night for the Asimov game. So it's another adventure in Boston Sci-Fi Festival Dome.
We will talk about the marathon, and we will also talk about the Isaac Asimov's robots thing. But Perry, what is it about giving of your time and energy to something that doesn't pay any money? You don't get your name up in lights. What is it about your desire to be part of this team?
Well, it started off just with the enjoyment of this kind of a crazy event, the marathon. And then I was a little curious about the rest of the festival as well, which when you invited me to be part of that, I just sort of enjoyed being part of an event that is pretty neat. And then, kind of like with all good sitcoms, even bad sitcoms on TV, after a while you get connected to the characters, and I started to get...
Whoa. Are you telling me there are characters in our team?
Boy, are they.
Not at a sci-fi festival.
I just started to enjoy just working with the people on the team. And well, let me give you an example from the end of last year's festival. There was a movie called Love and Monsters, which ironically in the last week or so has suddenly started popping up on my YouTube feed on my little phone. But last year was our first year back after the pandemic in person. It's the first time that you had me as the MC of the thon. And there was and also there are a few things that kind of went wrong in the beginning of, or in the middle of the festival that we, curveballs that we managed to hit. And when the last film of the marathon ended and people were coming out with smiles on their faces, they had a good time. I had this sense of we did it, and I was so exhilarated about that. And suddenly, any member of the Boston Sci-Fi team I could find in the lobby, I gave them bear hugs everywhere. I just became Mr. Bear Hug. I felt so good about being a part of it, having contributed, and what they all do. And I think that, in a way, answers why I keep coming back for this.
Alex, what about you?
Despite the internet being what it is, there's just nothing quite like being in a group of people who all love movies and talk about movies. And the most reliable place I've found to do that is at film festivals. And so you can go there, you can, buy tickets, hang out, but I love just being enmeshed in the whole thing. So volunteering is the best way to, meet people at the festival. Everyone you see there is going to be super excited to talk about whatever they've seen, whether it's at the festival, just movies in general, and that kind of community, you know, you don't find it randomly out there, but you can definitely find it at festivals pretty easily. So
I got to
Well,
say, I'm sorry. Must you add
I
something
just
else?
wanted to, you hit on a really important term there, Alex, and that is community, which was something else that I felt we all felt very, very strong last year coming back from doing it virtually. The sense of community that we'd missed when we just had to pre-record everything. And that's another huge part of it.
Well, for me, one of the reasons I like doing it is for a lot of what you said, but it's also there is a real enjoyment from my point of view when I start seeing all these creative, wonderful, intelligent, quirky human beings doing something that is kind of a little crazy and off the wall. And this year, one of those things is our Time Travelers Ball, which is going to be our opening night major event. We're going to have, a whole bunch of people dancing in a costume contest, all about the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. We'll be premiering Doctor Who Am I, which is a documentary about the guy that did Doctor Who, the movie, and wrote it and felt estranged from the community and then came back to it. But part of it is that Jackie Kern, who is the production manager of that event, yeah, awesome gal, and slightly crazy, I might say, came up with this idea to market the film, which is brilliant. And that is, she had a 4-foot Dalek doll, which was named Derek. And Perry, you and I think 5 others went around Boston and started taking pictures of Dalek in different places. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
It was a little crazy fun. Jackie, yes, she's the genius behind it. There's the Dalek, the inflatable Dalek that she brought out. Harry has a connection to Fenway Park, and so we were able to take, right on time, Mark, take Derek the Dalek. I'm glad everybody likes the name. It just sort of came out at random from me. We were able to take him to Fenway Park and other historical sites in Boston as well. Very, very Boston sites. And yeah, we all took some crazy pictures.
there he is in The Departed.
Yeah. And there were a number of times where people I did not think visually, I would not have pegged them as people who were interested in Doctor Who or knew about it, would say, "Hey, is that a Dalek?" or whatever. And so we had some interesting conversations with a pretty wide variety of folks.
Did you see that last picture? The girl on the right hand side, the woman on the right hand side. That's Olivia Martinez, who is one of our newest members of the team, and she's just up from Florida, and she's shivering to death. Even though it's been a mild winter, it was very cold and windy that day, but she looked so cold and miserable. And I know she had a good time, but it was like, yeah,
she was very cold. Sue also was pretty cold, and I think just before we finished up, said, "Hey, we're gonna head for the subway and get inside." It was a little bit of the icy wind with the snow coming down.
Yeah,
so I'm happy that Olivia is warm again after a couple weeks.
I think it took her a couple of weeks to get warm.
I think so too.
I should let you know that Haley Otero, who is our social media director, has been posting and putting up some very funny copy about the entire journey that you guys went through on Instagram and Facebook, and I think some Reddit stuff as well. But I can tell you on Facebook, we've gotten over 15,000 impressions with this campaign, and I think it's actually more than that because I haven't checked in a couple of days. So Jackie, kudos to her for creating a wonderful idea, and kudos for you guys for actually pulling it off, and kudos to Haley for getting it up there and getting it out. So, but again, that's really one of the things that I love about the festival is we get all these creative people doing these amazing things. And one of the things, again, that we do really well, and we can make an announcement right now about some of the panels that we're doing. We bring people in. And the latest person that we're bringing in that we just literally confirmed yesterday is a guy by the name of Dwayne Dunham. And Dwayne is a film editor, and we'll be highlighting film editors this year because we've got not only Dwayne coming, but we've also got two editors, Nate Cormier and Joe Elwood, who are going to be film animation editors. And so they're going to do a panel on animation, and we're going to be doing a virtual panel with John Renfura, who is the editor of Avatar: Way of Water. He's actually taking time out from editing Avatar 3 to talk to us virtually. But what I was going to say, Dwayne is the editor, and check out this list of things that he's edited: Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Indiana Jones, and I think there's about 4 or 5 others that he's done. And we're going to have a special Saturday panel over at the Burn. So the panels are something that we like, and we've got a lot of people coming in. So we ask people to please check our digboxoffice.com to see what's going on there. Now, have you guys been to the panels at all before?
I have, and I was about to say I wanted to put this out for anybody who's watching, who's thinking about the rest of the festival. I think the panels might be my favorite part of it. I've always been a fan of the behind-the-scenes sort of thing, and I find them often really fascinating. A couple of years ago, there was a director's shorts panel I really, really enjoyed. And what I still think also was one of the real coups of the Boston Sci-Fi Festival recently was when you had Ray Harryhausen's daughter talking about little things like, as a kid, finding her dad playing with those little molded toys on his desk, or that became his monsters on the screen, But just, the behind the scenes things, if you're into that, the panels are really where it's at.
Panels really make festivals special because, you can see movies with people a lot of times and people have their preferences of movies, but panels are once in a lifetime events that really only come from, a festival like this that's so well connected that they have great guests like that.
Yeah, and we have some great partners with the panels this year. We're going to be doing them at Kamikaze Comic Book Store, which is a great place, very intimate, and also the Burn. We're using the back room in the Burn. But we've also got another partner, and you're working with them, and that's the Goods Dispensary, Alex. What are you going to be doing over there?
Well, they got a nice little community room for us, and we're going to be set up there to shoot interviews with filmmakers, crew members of the Sci-Fi Festival. We'll see what other random characters we find to throw in that room.
Oh, there's definitely some random characters. I mean, some of the attendees fall into that category very quickly.
And we're going to make them stars. That's what we're going to do. So it'll be really fun. You should just, keep your eyes peeled for that in the days after the festival. The festival is going to be way too crazy to edit that stuff up right at the time. So in the weeks after the festival, that stuff will go up and you'll get a little taste while you're waiting for the next festival.
And as production head, or video production head, we have all this content. Are you going to unroll it quickly or slowly?
Slowly. It's gonna go slow. It's gonna first be interviews. Well, first it'll probably be the Q&As, then interviews, and then after a while, we'll see what other content we kind of can pump out of it.
Well, Q&As, for those who don't know, is questions and answers that usually happen after the films. And this year, we think we're having 30 to 35 directors coming, so we'll have a lot of Q&As after a lot of the shows. We've actually put at least 15 minutes after each show for people to be able to ask questions of the directors and people. So there'll be an intimate relationship with people. And when we talk about what we do, one of the things that we book is we book a lot of shorts. We usually have about 50 to 60 shorts every year. And one of the most famous shorts of all time will be in the marathon itself, and that's Chris Marker's La Jetée. Here's a clip from La Jetée.
Professeur, c'était le début d'une période d'essai où il la retrouverait à des moments différents. Quelquefois, il la retrouve devant leur signe. Elle l'accueille simplement. Elle l'appelle son spectre. Un jour, elle semble avoir peur. Un jour, elle se penche sur lui. Lui ne sait jamais s'il se dirige vers elle, s'il est dirigé, s'il invente ou s'il rêve.
You know, it's you know, when you look at a clip like that, you go, well, a lot of people are not really reading the subtitles. They don't know what's really going on there. And if you're knowledgeable about film, you know what La Jetée is. It was a short by Chris Marker that became the backbone for films like 12 Monkeys, and it's a great time travel piece. But it also goes to point out, and I'd like you guys to talk a little bit about this, and that is science fiction is not big-eyed monsters. Science fiction is not, people in costumes all the time. Science fiction can be very thoughtful and usually touches upon societal issues that we don't really want to talk about. And sometimes we do want to talk about it, but we use science fiction to kind of hide it so that not everyone gets mad about it. Because these days, everyone gets mad about everything,
Especially those kind of shorts, let's call them shorts from back then. What do you say, 63 or something like
That's
that?
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's around the same time as Twilight Zone. And for someone like me who wants to kind of eventually move into telling my own stories and shorts and features, those are very, very inspirational because you can see how it's put together, and it's just the craft of the writing that's really elevating it to the level that we still all remember episodes of Twilight Zone. And if you look at it, it's not so complicated that someone with an iPhone couldn't make them. It's just, do you have the idea? Do you have the will to see it through?
Well, also speaking on the topic of bringing potentially difficult subject matter, discussion matter to the fore, there are episodes of the Twilight Zone from almost 60 years ago, that seem like the way that things move kind of in cycles, the way things sort of happen again. Parts of history repeat themselves. Some of the things on those Twilight Zones that were brought up could have been created 2 years ago.
Still so relevant.
Yeah, like the episode with the neighborhood in a small town where there are some strange sounds going on, and they get disturbed and they start accusing and attacking each other, and the camera pulls back at the end, and there are a couple of invaders from Mars, whatever, who are watching, and they call in headquarters and say, this will be a piece of cake. We don't have to do anything. Just turn off their power for a little bit, throw some strange lights out there, and they'll do the job for us.
Especially the first time I watched La Jetée, I was so surprised how much of it is still photographs.
Yeah.
And you just look at that and you can read so much of the story into those.
Now, when was La Jetée made?
I don't really remember, but I wanted to bounce off what you're saying is that's one of the things that you'll see. A lot of the shorts and a lot of the filmmakers that come to Boston Sci-Fi don't have huge budgets, and they don't have the ability to do it. They maximize their budgets, but they're incredibly creative in how they go about putting their films together and showing their films and being cognizant of what the visual vernacular is and playing with it and having a good time with it. And again, when you go to the screenings, you'll be able to ask them exactly what they were thinking and what they're doing. But I wanted to backtrack a little bit. You were talking about artists and craftsmen just a few seconds ago, and one of the panels that I didn't talk about that we should talk about is our Fabricators 1 and our Fabricators
Definitely.
2 panel.
Sounds fascinating.
I can't believe it. Claudia Ramirez, who is our panel's head this year,
Another round of applause.
Really outdone herself. We are getting the people that make the tchotchkes and the crafts people and the artists from Mandalorian, Avatar, Picard, Ashoka.
Ahsoka.
Whatever it is, I can't remember. I just realized yesterday I was spelling it wrong for days.
Either spell it right or pronounce it right. Pick one.
I think I was probably pronouncing it right, but then misspelling it. Now I'm,
Anyway.
spelling it correctly and mispronouncing it. It's what happens to a festival director when you're like 6 or 7 days out. Your brain turns into guacamole with bacon bits, and it comes out your ears. Anyways,
That's what we look like at the last hours of the thon.
yeah. I mean, by that time, I'm just
We're on vapor
You
trails.
can probably find someone in the audience to eat it with chips too. So
Yeah, that sounds like a good movie there, Alex.
Yum, yum, yum.
That'll go into our horror section, which we call sci-fi. But one of the things that we decided before we started this festival, back in last March, was that we understood that people want more experiences. And so when this next piece came along, I just said, oh my God, this is going to be us. And so we're taking an old VCR VHS game from 1988 and turning it into an experiential game, which Perry is going to be the MC of. And here is the original 1988 ad in all its really delightful glory.
If you think I'm a man in a robot suit, you've made a mistake.
If you think I'm a robot in a man suit, you're correct.
Can we play? Oh, yeah, please. Can we?
Certainly.
Play the video and solve the mystery that saves the Earth.
I've got the answer. Think.
You're right.
Robots, the most fun you can have with your VCR.
I just love this site where somebody shoves the VCR tape in. And it's so funny now.
it's and just
That's not how we're going to be showing it.
That was high tech back in '88, you know.
Right.
But anyway, just so everyone understands, it's basically a Clue game, the board game Clue, wrapped around an Isaac Asimov story called Caves of Steel, and he signed off on it. And Perry, why don't you tell people what you're planning on doing with all of this?
Well, I think we're going to have a lot of discussion after the film is done. There are clues, and you pick them up at certain points in the film, in the video, which give you ideas on who may have done the deed that is talked about in the video. There's an attempted crime, but I think we'll have some discussion about it. It'll be fun to see what everybody's thinking, and then we'll put it all together, and I'll read you what the lead detective, his thoughts were, and then what the answer is.
So there is an answer, though, right? The crime does get solved.
That does, yes, based on people's feedback.
So for people who are thinking about attending this, you're going to divide them up into teams. Are they going to come in teams? And is that
we'll have teams of up to 10 people, and it'll almost be like Stump Trivia, where I won't be playing music where giving you very difficult clues, but there will be clues, and you'll pick up the clues. This time they won't be as difficult. We'll see how this goes. Maybe we'll make them harder as we go.
I kind of hope that this turns out to be one of those things that we do every year for a couple of years.
We might even make up our own clues and mix up the stew a little bit more. But yeah, I think the clues that are in the film and the clue cards as well will provide everybody a lot of ideas. I think it's going to be kind of fun talking about the possibilities.
Are we going to have to dress up like the 80s?
I hope not. I'm just this year I'm going to have, I think, 3 different shirts, science fiction type shirts or outerwear to wear. For me, that's progress.
Well, we have crew shirts this year.
We have what?
Crew shirts.
Oh yes. Okay,
yes,
good.
They're in process of being made, and we delivered in the next couple of days. So.
Well, this one I brought in last year. I don't know if you can see it too well, but it's a
Farscape, right?
A Farscape hoodie, and I just come in on the first night of the festival last year. I just basically, as is my role, basically I plop out down and say, anybody need anything? Need me to go get something or go someplace, put out a fire or whatever? And somebody was just signing in, turned out to be a filmmaker. He looks at my shirt, he points to me and says, best science fiction television show ever. Now, I grew up with Star Trek, so that's pretty high praise there. It was Eric Devers of the film EK Boys, and
Yeah.
he said, I had to cast Ben Browder, who was the lead on Farscape, in my film, which is showing in 20 minutes. You got to come see it. And
That is what a film festival is supposed to be about. Do you know the story behind Ike Boys or Iki Boys?
A little bit.
Eric had a short in the festival. I think it was SF45 or 44, and he met a writer there, and they instantly bonded, and so that's when they came up with the idea. He wrote, he directed, and all of a sudden we've got Ike Boys, which is I think just started streaming. It's really a good film, very enjoyable.
Part of that story will be live in an interview that's going up on our YouTube soon.
Oh, very good.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
That was one of my favorite films of the festival.
There's always one.
It's really good.
Yeah,
I'd like to backtrack very briefly about the shorts.
Sure.
I wouldn't want anybody to cut the shorts, short shrift, so to speak. Sometimes it's been my experience at festivals past that sometimes some of the shorts are among the best films that you'll see there. And it's a real challenge to tell a story in, it could be 6 minutes or 12 minutes, whatever it is. And some of them pull it off. So I would say don't discount the shorts at all.
You should not count out the shorts at all, because in many ways, shorts are young filmmakers' calling cards these days. They create these shorts, they put them on the festival circuit, they look to get some attention. They always want to network and meet other people. But last year's winner for best short, the Tim Travers Traveling Paradox, that is now being made into a major feature with Danny Trejo and a really good cast. Yeah,
Danny Trejo, Joel McHale, Keith David.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean,
and I believe they're keeping the star of the short as the star of the movie too.
Yeah, so it's you never know where it's going to lead, and you never know who you're going to meet there. And again, this year
you found them first.
Pardon?
You can say you found them first.
You
found all your friends.
You're on the cutting edge. You're doing that stuff. But now it's time to talk about the all-time stalwart of the Boston Sci-Fi Festival, and that is our closing event, which is as Alex calls it, the original binge. I was calling it the original binge view. He's calling it the original binge, and I like that even better because it is the original binge. It was before binge viewing, before streaming, before Blu-rays, before DVDs, before VHS. And that was the Boston Marathon. Boston Film Marathon, and it's 24 straight hours. It starts at Sunday at noon. And, Perry, you are going to be the MC. So tell us a little bit about what you got planned.
Well, besides the movies, and that's a good point, because even I thought of this the first time I went to a marathon, or the thon as we call it. We'll have some games and try to make it more than just sitting and watching movies. You mentioned Doctor Who. We're going to have a Doctor Who Mad Libs, which means we're going to need people to show off their futuristic grammar skills with nouns and adjectives and adverbs and things like that, so we can put them into the Doctor Who Mad Libs. We'll have some of our classics like the tinfoil hat contest. I'm hoping that we'll bring back the paper airplane contest as we did last year. That was a hit.
Did I ever tell you the origins of the paper airplane contest?
No.
See, this is what you have me for, because I've been around for so damn long.
Grandpa, tell us a story.
Yeah.
Tell us how you invented paper airplanes.
Here, little boy. So what was happening was I was running the Somerville Theater in the 80s, and we were having the marathon there, and people in the balcony were throwing paper airplanes, taking the program and turning it into paper airplanes. So we said, well, why don't we just turn that into a contest? And that's what we did. And that's where the origins came. It was response to a genuine community and impulse.
Genuine. Genius. Another one didn't turn out as we had planned last year. Well, part of the Boston Science Fiction Film Festival, certainly on the inside, is hitting curveball after curveball that you don't expect. That's half the fun when you come out victorious on those. But Dan LeBlanc had this great costume, and he transformed into Dr. Hotbot. He said, "I've been working with these fireballs. No one's gonna be able to have more than 3, probably 2 in their mouth. This contest is going to go 5 seconds. There were people, I don't know how they fit so many of these fireball things in their mouths without their cheeks ripping off from their faces, but nobody was giving in. And after, I think our time window was just about out, and we basically called them all winners and gave them all prizes. But it was fun.
Yeah, and we'll do something. I think we'll
but Dr. Hotbot promises that they really, really are hot this time. So we'll see what happens.
Been working on his
see
formula.
about that. I mean, I've looked on YouTube, and there's a bunch of atomic fireball challenges, because atomic fireball is one of our things. We start every marathon off with everyone popping an atomic fireball. But there's an atomic fireball challenge up on YouTube that you see a lot of people doing, where it's you stuff 5 fireballs into your mouth for 5 minutes, and whoever sustains wins. And I think a lot of people would sustain, but I just thinking of it in terms of visuals, and if we have a couple cameras of people really grimacing and complaining, what a great viral video that would be, and on stage and them in pain. I think America would love that.
America would. I don't know about us, but
so
Corey Povich, come on down.
So, but again, even though we're like a little over a week away from the marathon, you know that Perry, you and I and Dan and Alex and some of the other team members will be getting together just to hone out all those details and try and figure out where that curveball will come, because it will come.
Yes,
it always does. And we roll with it, and the community rolls with it, so it's great.
Yes.
Well, have you seen the lineup, Perry?
I have not. I really like to be surprised. That's the only downside.
That's a lot of people are like that. Yeah.
I think that for me, that's perhaps the only downside to being the MC, because I'm looking at the schedule and figuring out what to talk about, and just sort of promote ahead of time and let people know what's coming. But no, I've seen some of the lineup, but I'm good to know that I'm not the only one who likes being surprised.
Our director, Mark, is one of those people, I believe, doesn't like to be surprised as well.
He does like to be surprised, or does not?
Does not like to be. I mean, he does want to be surprised. He doesn't want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then there are people who just want to know. And I remember we have this wonderful friend from Dublin who comes just about every year. And 2 years ago or last year, he was saying, "I'm not coming. I've already seen all these films." It's not about the films. It's about the experience.
You haven't seen them like this.
Pardon?
Well,
you haven't seen them like this.
You haven't seen it like this, and you have, and until people, you can talk about wheat checks and rice checks, and people have no idea what you're talking about. And and again, that's one of those wonderful little stories back where we had a Commander Cody 1952 TV show in 35 millimeter film that we're showing when we were at the Coolidge Corner. And it came to us complete with commercials. And people saw these things for wheat checks and rice checks and wheat checks and rice checks. And at the same time, it was less filling and tastes great beer commercials out. But they just ripped off that. And that's still going on. So it's one of the things about the community that's absolutely wonderful.
The crowd absolutely makes this an event.
It does. And that's where you're really good, Perry, because you help that crowd. You make them be who they are.
And they inspire me. I mean, the films could all be fantastic in many ways, but it is the crowd that makes it a hoot.
Yeah.
And let's put it this way: if you're watching this and thinking about this, you will not be shushed by a librarian for talking back to the screen at the thon.
Respectfully, though.
Perhaps.
No.
I don't know.
It's not like it's rampant. When you've got a serious film, the audience is serious.
Yes.
When the film is like an over-the-top film, that's when it calls for that kind of response, and that's
a response.
Yeah, and people have their ray guns and they shoot the villains and all that other kind of good stuff.
They boo and they hiss, boo the hero.
Yeah,
boo the villain, cheer the hero.
Yeah, it is. It's really kind of wonderful.
Yeah, it's a magical experience. You really have to search for to find in a theater, but just knowing it's there every year at Boston SciFi is something else.
It is. It's great.
It is a hoot. I have withdrawals usually the week after the festival. I walk by the theater and I think, oh, it's gone.
Well,
another year.
That's the thing about experiences. Experiences occur, They're not something that you like pick off a shelf. They happen, and they happen with other people. And that's one of the things that I can tell you that I love about, this entire process is that the community we got is a very authentic community, and they can cheer you up in ways that you wouldn't, you wouldn't know. I remember when back about 12, 13 years ago, my brother died, and it hit me pretty hard. And it was literally the week before the marathon. And the fact that the marathon was there gave me a real sense of community and sustained me in the ways that, I didn't think I didn't realize was there. And it was a surprise, and it was a wonderful surprise. So that's how I feel about the community. It's why we do it, because again, it's all about trying to make us enjoy our communities, because we don't have the communities that we used to have.
Building back up from scratch after COVID, and so
yeah,
this is a good place to start.
It is a good place to start.
When COVID hit, its effect on the marathon, on the festival, when we did it all virtual, I think every one of us the next year just found ourselves craving having that sense of community back, and we got back. It was just a wonderful thing. And again, that's one reason why I found myself just kind of bear hugging everybody on the Boston side.
Let's remember what the final scene for Love and Monsters was all about. It was about people coming out of their bunkers and into the real world again. And that's what we just did. We came out of our bunkers and we experienced a 24-hour marathon.
There was that. There were themes of your blood family, your tribe afterwards, tribes that you find in your life, and a lot of themes actually that were kind of hitting me personally. And the combination of all those things, got to bear hug the people who make you feel better.
It makes it special.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're wrapping up time here, and so before we go to our final little bit of clip here, I just wanted to let people know they can buy tickets for everything at digboxoffice.com. There's information also on our website. You should definitely follow our YouTube channel. We also have a very active Facebook and Instagram going on. Buy tickets, come to the Travelers Ball, go to the panels. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Go over and see Alex's studio. I call it the studio over in the Goods, where he's going to be interviewing people. You have to be 21 and you have to be an ID, because it is a dispensary after all. And the people that run that dispensary are really, really good. Go over to Kamikaze and see what's going on there. Is there any last words that you would want to say to the people before we leave?
The Burren also was doing stuff with us again.
Yeah.
Again, panels. Yeah.
Just, come experience the movies. If you don't want to experience the movies, experience the community. It's going to be a blast. So don't miss out.
It's a real hoot. Yeah. I just, for years, I used to drive by the theater at the sign saying the Boston SciFi and Marathon and think, one of these years I should do it. And finally I did. And now I can't stay away.
See, you're addicted.
Oh, no doubt.
It's what we put in the popcorn.
So
here to close out this installment of Boston SciFi Presents, we are using Alex's marathon trailer, which I love. So here it is.
In the course of less than 2 centuries, they've progressed from performing mere tricks to performing services.
Alive, surging up from the depths of the sea on a tidal wave of terror to wreak vengeance on mankind.
Thank you for taking Johnny Cab. Hope you enjoyed the ride.
When I say my Dubuque, I don't mean the present Dubuque, which is your Dubuque. I mean the future Dubuque, which is where I'm from. The future.